So if you're digging for a living as you listen to this podcast, you know there's no better skid steers and mini excavators than Kubota. Victoria's #1 Kubota construction dealer is Supergroups. You won't dig up a better deal. Full on service, no empty promises. Supergroups.com.au.
Touch base with what went down at the MCG yesterday. The Demons found a way over the line after they surrendered a 38-point lead to the Blues, who got in front briefly, but that was a wonderful finish at the G, and the Ds came out on top. One man that helped them get there, he kicked 6 goals. He could have kicked more had he not limped from the field late in the game. His name is Tom McDonald, and he joins us live. Tom, good morning.
Morning, Sammy. How are you?
I'm good, but what about you? We've walked out of a scan. The result is?
Well, good and bad news. Good news is I haven't done an ACL or anything too severe, but I think I've got a little meniscus tear, and I'll meet the surgeon, but probably will require some surgery. So it might be tough to be back playing again this year, but it could be a lot worse. So good news, I think, in totality.
Did you think, Tom, that there could have been a chance it was ACL?
No, well, I don't know what it feels like, but the way people describe it didn't feel like that. It just felt like something clunked and I had something stuck in the joint. So I think that might be a bit of meniscus that's sitting in there that's torn off or something like that. We thought it might have been a bit of chip bone, which would be a better result, but it doesn't look like that's the case. So
okay.
We've still only got the early results, so they'll have a more detailed report. But yeah, good and bad news.
So I guess it's frustrating in a way, Tom. Like, we saw what you're capable of yesterday. I know it's probably been a frustrating year for you personally, and also the team hasn't found their form. But yeah, it would have been nice to finish off the year playing like you were playing yesterday.
Yeah, the team's had a frustrating season, as you said, and it's been up and down for a lot of guys. And personally, had a pretty poor start to the year. But I think the last 3 to 4 weeks have started to play some good footy, and the team's done some really good things recently, but it just hasn't all come together for us. So, and it kind of feels like we get a couple of guys back from injury and then another couple get injured. So it's been really disappointing, but we still think there's a lot of good things to take out of yesterday and out of the season that we're going to learn a lot from this to go forward with. So, yeah, look, you can look at everything in different ways, but we're choosing to set the positive and what we can do to get better.
We talked early in the year about, the frustration with having so many of your first team players having surgery and interrupted pre-seasons. Your own form, Tom, seems to be based on your ability to get up and down the ground. How hard is it to do that when you haven't really had a pre-season?
Yeah, it all depends individually on what guys are like with their own running and how they recover from their injury. But it's probably when you have the weight and numbers that missed, that's when it becomes difficult because you don't get the team training together all pre-season. So, but on a personal level, it's more probably the confidence you get from being part of the group and part of the match play early in the season and in the pre-season that helps you individually get back into form. So it's not necessarily the running, because all the guys will do a heap of rehab running and heap of fitness work before they're cleared to come back and join the team. But it's the stuff you get to do with the team that makes a difference on how you feel, probably more psychologically out there and being involved with the group. So I think everyone does the equivalent amount of running because they've all got to pass the rehab test to get back out there. But it's more about the amount of time you can spend with the rest of the group that makes a difference. And
psychologically, you use that word. How is the group going? Because it's not easy, I guess, when the team's not performing in the way that you guys know you can perform. I mean, it's one thing to have external pressure, but I can only assume that inside the four walls, you guys would be as disappointed and as frustrated as anyone when it comes to looking at how the season's unfolded.
Yeah, well, like a lot of guys have expressed their frustrations that they wish they could play better individually and that it translates to better, more wins as a team. So everyone's gone through that, especially the guys who've had really good seasons last year and are maybe not quite, they're maybe 10 or 20% down on what they put out last year. That weighs on you because you feel the level of expectation from yourself, from coaches and from outside. So, but it's how you get out of that, frame of mind and just back to playing and sort of usually what we talk about is trying to tip into the team and try to put someone else before you, and then your game generally comes back as well. So,
yep.
And I think we've had that to some success with a few guys, and then it seems to be that a few guys start doing it and it goes well, and then we get some injuries or someone else falls out of form and you're sort of starting the cycle again. We just haven't had everyone click together at the same time, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So yeah, it's just been a bit of a mismatch year for us, but I think we're getting a lot of learnings out of it, and we can see a lot of areas for improvement. There's a lot of the parts of the game that are going really well, and there's some games where we have had a lot of team-first sort of gameplay and behaviours, but then we've just missed goals, which on the day you can't do much about. So that's where it just hasn't all come together for us.
I feel like being at the MCG yesterday, Tom, and watching Stephen May, I mean, the impact that this guy's going to have, I think, will be profound on Melbourne, given that I know he's had his troubles earlier in the year and he didn't arrive at the club in the way that you would have wanted, but if he can get his body right and be consistent with his body over the next part of his contract, he's going to be a really important cog for your team.
Oh, he's a phenomenal player, and I think some of the early pre-season stuff was blown out of proportion a little bit. Like, he was here, he did all the pre-season, and then he got injured. Came back and played a game and re-injured himself and then missed 10 weeks. So I know he's had one stuff up when he probably should have made a better choice, but other than that, you can't really fault what he's done, and his attitude, especially the last month, has been outstanding, and his form's aligned with that. So I think if he hadn't got injured, we would have had a great year from Stevie all year. But he's just one of the guys that's a bit unlucky with timing, but we're seeing what he can do now when he's got himself right and his body's feeling good, and he's confident in going out there and just playing. He's been fantastic.
What have you noticed, Tom, about Stephen's leadership this year? And I ask that only because, he was co-captain of a football club with Tom Lynch up on the Gold Coast Suns, and it's not something that we get to see a lot of down here in Melbourne. But what's he been like as a leader?
He's been a really good, instructive voice at training and on the field. I don't think he's tried to impart himself too much almost off-field. He just wanted to fit in with the guys and be part of the group. But the way he talks on-field and directs, especially to defenders, you can see why he was made captain of Gold Coast, because he's on-field leadership and he demands from teammates excellence, and he's vocal and inspirational. So you see that side of him, you can see why he was captain. Off the field, he's just been one of the guys, just happy fitting in and being one of the fun guys in the group, and everyone loves him. So it's there hasn't been any pressure on him to act like captain or try and be a captain here. It was almost come in and do your job, and we expect you to talk and be a leader on the field, but we don't expect you to be taking on all the burden of what a captain does off the field. And
we saw that instructional leadership. We saw it in spades with that vision at three-quarter time, yeah.
I don't actually know what the specifics are of that one, but I think it was a little bit overblown. I think if they used a couple of choice words they probably shouldn't have used at each other, and that was it, and they got a bit angry, as boys do, and they don't like to back down from what they've said. So I think that was a bit minor, and we were all a bit frustrated. We were losing at three-quarter time, but they're all good. I think they put up an Instagram photo last night hugging each other, so just kissed and made up.
Is that something, that vision, something that'll be played in a few team meetings just when you need the occasional laugh?
Maybe it'd be good on Mad Monday or something like that. Get them up and have a proper fight in the middle of a circle would be good.
I'm not sure who I'd be backing in the ring between those two.
Fight. Yeah, it'd be interesting. They're both powerful men, so they got no endurance, so they cook out by the third round.
I feel like Steve might have a bit more anger than Sam.
Oh, no, you haven't seen Sam in the change rooms when he gets hit by a cricket ball or something when he's not playing.
Yeah, right, okay.
He blows up pretty quick, Sammy.
Tommy, how's Oscar? He's done a mini pre-season sort of throughout the middle of the year.
Yeah, well, he had 2 games off and 1 bye week off, and focused on training and weights and, just stepping away from the pressure of playing a little bit without playing VFL. And he's played the last 2 weeks in the 2s, and his first game was very good in trying muddy, wet conditions. And this weekend in a really good game, I think he played really well. Him and Jake Lever down back were really strong. So he's really happy at the moment. You can see a change in his personality. It was getting to him at the start of the year because the team's playing badly. When you're full back, you cop the worst of it. So it's been really good for him to step away and sort of find a bit of passion for the game, come back a little bit without all the expectation and, supporters getting on his back if he lets a goal through or makes a mistake. So he's in a really good headspace now, and I expect him to be back in the senior side soon.
Christian Petrarca, Tom, he's someone that's talked about a lot. I just want to know from your perspective, because you played a lot of footy early where, for whatever reason, you probably couldn't find your niche, and it's hard to find good form in footy. Petrarca looks externally like one of those guys that he has all the weapons, and it's just a matter of when he's going to be able to unlock that. Is that how you view him?
Yeah, well, I think it's hard with a guy like Christian because he does some phenomenally outstanding things on the field, and you just go, wow, and I think that's what everyone sees. And then you expect that, 25 times a game, which is unrealistic from anyone. But I reckon in the last 6 to 8 weeks, we've seen a really good pattern of Track just doing the simple things and then letting the brilliance shine when it needs to. But his form's been really consistent this year, and I reckon last 2 years he's had some great games and then drops away. But this year he may not have had some of the huge games that he's had before with lots of goals and lots of touches, but his ability to make a contest, his pressure, he fights through tackles, he's been using the ball really well this year, and it might not be as flashy, but we reckon he's been a bit more consistent this year, and I've been really happy with his form, and his communication and leadership around the club stepped up. So he's getting better. He's not a finished product yet, but I'm starting to see some real progression from him.
You talked about the mental toll of footy on people like Oscar and others. Just some names to mention to you, Tom. Lin Jong, Dane Beams, Aaron Hall, Matthew Broadbent, and then we go to the example of Tom Boyd, who's unfortunately decided to end his AFL career. But they're all names that in the recent weeks have decided to step away from footy and deal with mental health issues. How big an issue do you think this is in footy, Tom? Like, you're a pretty level-headed guy. Do you sometimes struggle mentally? Is it something that happens more than we think it does?
100%. It's when you're going well, it's the best feeling in the world, playing footy, and everyone loves you. But as soon as you lose a couple in a row and can't get a kick, people are pretty quick to jump on you, and it's and you feel it because you want to perform and you want to play your best possible game every week, and whether that's as a fullback or full forward, like, you want to be the best player on the field, and you feel like if you're not, you're letting people down. And then the combination of that with the access to media stuff, such as the social media we all talk about, even TV, newspaper, like, you either shut yourself away from it completely and you just close that area of your life, or you read it and you deal with the negative side of it. And while it's sort of part of it, it's a hard balance to make with, do you just accept it that when it's good, and when it's bad, and you've got to take it both ways, or do you try and avoid it most of the time and make that decision and just, step away from it when you're not at the footy club? So it's a delicate balance, and I wouldn't say I've had mental health issues, but the frustrations and the lows of when you're playing poorly and when the team's not going well can be really take a toll on the rest of your life and put you in a bad mood when you go home. So it's a really hard balance, and I think it's a good sign that guys have got the maturity to say that this isn't working and I'm not helping the team if I'm in a bad headspace, and they step away from footy for a little bit. So I think we're getting better at dealing with it, but it's going to be a never-ending battle, I think.
Do you think most of the anxiety stems from the differences between the highs and the lows? Because I can't think of another workplace other than professional sport, I'm sure there are, but that would have so many highs and lows in a short space of time.
Oh, I feel like there's heaps of different, like, you imagine working in medicine and the highs and lows of saving people's lives.
True.
And, more serious problems than we deal with. It's probably just more the public side of it. So there's so many other jobs that are way more important, but they're probably not as public, which is the only difference, I think. So that's what makes it a little bit tougher. And but the thing is, everyone wants you to play well. It's just that sometimes people are pretty quick to jump off you when it's not going so well.
Tom, it's always great to chat. You're always very insightful. So happy that it's not an ACL today. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to see you play probably for the rest of the year. But as we let you go, some other news in your life. This is pretty exciting. You and your beautiful partner Ruby, you're expecting a little girl in January.
Yeah, so that's the good part of this week. So no good news on the knee, but we're expecting a little girl in January. So that's some good news to talk about. Unfortunately, Ruby's been pretty sick, so she can't really look after me if I've got to have surgery. So Mum's actually down at the moment looking after the both of us. So it's a bit of a war zone in our house at the moment. But all good news.
Oh, congratulations to you and Ruby and the entire McDonald family. Good luck with the rehab, and we'll hopefully see you out there soon.
Thanks, Sammy. Hope to see you soon, mate.
Tom McDonald there, that absolute star on and off the field. 6 goals yesterday. and you will struggle to find an AFL footballer who speaks as well and as candidly as Tom McDonald.